Most adults I know are bad with money, and I'm a just tall old child. I live in a rural town and thus pay rural prices for most things. My rent and utilities are around $500 a month, my groceries are $60 a week, and my gas is about $100. I make $4,000 a month, and my only big expense is my car. I bought it new, I know. It's a little Corolla I bought 16 months ago, but I didn't realize I set the automated payments up incorrectly. So instead of paying $320 a month, I was paying $600. I recently checked how much I had left, thinking I'd see $16,000 left in payments, but it was only $9,000 left. But I've hit a point where just saving money seems kind of stupid if it's just sitting in my savings. One of my friends said to just keep doing what I'm doing. A friend's parent told me I should pay off the car now since I can. And the finance podcast told me I should have opened up a Roth IRA 10 years ago. I don't feel like I have many adults to talk to about this, and my parents are dealing with their own financial issue. So what would someone do if they were in my situation? For more context, I'm 22 and have $50K saved up, so I felt like I should invest that. What would someone do? You found Reddit. It's a great resource. Check this flowchart, /i.imgur.com/l/idimgur.com/or2jpg. Reddit changed my life for finances. Literally. Pre-Reddit me and post-Reddit me are literally night and day. This sub paid my house deposit and saved my partner's life, although it also scolds me daily for not maxing my tax-free retirement contributions. We yell at you because we want you to be better than us. It's because we know you can do better and be better. Same. So thankful I found this sub and the fire sub. This and the fire sub got me from minus $150 to plus 150 in many years. Yay. I am also in the six figures applying what I've learned now, less than 10 years. I try to tell every young person I know now, make personal finance your hobby. Being rich is a super fun hobby to have. It's the best. I love this concept. Truly, being in control of your finances and not in constant money anxiety or intermittent money panics is hugely rewarding, even if you don't care about being rich, and getting there can be even more fun because you can really feel the changes. After a certain point, at least for some people, the money is just a number that gets more and more abstract. As someone still in the negative with student loans, I can't wait to be making comments like this. Can't imagine how good that feels. Congrats. Been there, and yes, it will. In the meantime, take satisfaction and credit where you deserve it for your progress along the way. A few monumental days I've had. Getting married, graduating college, paying off my last credit card, paying off my student loans. Those hit different. Fire is where it is at. Wish I had started down this path 10 years ago, but even in just my third year of attempting this, I am light years ahead of my peers in retirement goals. The real secret is to learn to be content with a minimalist lifestyle. I'll reward myself and splurge on something cool when I'm 70. I'll reward myself and splurge on something cool when I'm 70. This reads like irony. Saving is important, but putting off joy until you're nearly dead isn't the way either. They've been doing it for less than 3 years. I bet they'll figure out that they can spend sometimes and still go FI around year 5 to 7. In the meantime, those 5 to 7 years do work particularly hard, so it's not the biggest waste. This subreddit specifically has had a profound impact on my financial literacy. I wish I knew about Reddit when I was in a shitty relationship, because everyone would have told me to run, and they would have been right. For me, it was Dave Ramsey at first, but I was $100K-ish in debt. But over the process of becoming debt-free, I learned more from here, put away more, and just did better. My income also went up a decent bit. Now I am to the point where I have outgrown Dave, and from now on it looks like just FZROX and chill. I love the flowchart, / personal finance wiki common topics. Here's the wiki page with more context and information. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please NS message compose / to Quirls Finance. Contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Question about this chart. I contribute a decent chunk to my 401k, currently nothing into an IRA. Why does the chart say to invest in IRA first? I mean, I just have an unmanaged account that goes into index funds. What would an IRA give me better than that? It says contribute to 401k up to match amount. Then max IRA, then go back to doing as much in 401k. Here's a simplified version of this chart. i.mgur.com/FB70gur FB70 amount. Conventional wisdom is that IRAs have lower fees and better investment options than the average 401k. Of course, there are exceptions to this. Roth also has no RMDs and can take out contributions penalty-free. One of the consistent things I have been told is for safe, long-term market investment, put everything into index funds, which I do. So if I can do that with my 401k, what would I get out of opening an IRA other than increasing the annual max I can put away? Other than increasing annual max, IRA usually has way less fees. There's no administrative fees like running a 401k. You're only paying the index fund fee, which is like 0.03%. In a 401k, you're paying the fund fee plus an administrative fee, which ends up being around 1%. But usually the company match covers that plus some anyways. Ideally, you want to max 401k and Roth IRA. Repeating what the previous commenter said, because it's a big one, your contributions to a Roth IRA can be withdrawn whenever, so you are able to save for retirement and your gains will be tax-free when you get them in retirement, but you can still access the contribution without penalty in the meantime. It's not my primary emergency fund, but it's nice to know that it's there if I need it. 3 main differences. You can get contributions back from the Roth IRA if you need to. Of course, it's not ideal because once removed, you can't put them back in and get that sweet tax-free growth. But it can be better than a loan against the 401k, and unquestionably much better than actually taking money out of the 401k. In retirement, money going out of the Roth is not taxed since it was taxed going in. The 401k money is taxed coming out since it was not taxed going in. In theory, it cancels out, and tax brackets may change in both ways, and inflation, but if you plan to have much larger income when you are in retirement than you do now, the Roth is probably a good idea. If you do well and have a lot of money in retirement, as we all hope to, having both types might permit some tax optimization when taking out the money. As a previous answer says, the Roth investment options are often better. Some 401ks have really awful overpriced fund choices, even if they're still index funds. Yours might not be that way, but the flowchart is for general advice. Here's a strong R personal finance / Windex link to the PF Wiki for helpful guides and information. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please / message compose to / personal finance. Contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you for this. I thought I wasn't doing so well. I've heard all over about Roth savings, but based on my plan of getting a house, I am actually doing exactly what I need to be. Sorry if this is answered elsewhere. Does the 15% contribution to retirement pre-tax shown in the diagram count contributions towards a pension? I pay 12% towards a pension, fully matched for whatever that is worth, and then contribute 3% to a separate retirement fund. I always wonder if I should be contributing more towards retirement. I have 100% faith in my pension existing through retirement. Not an expert, but I believe the theory is the total amount going into your retirement plans is 15% of gross pay. So in theory, if you had a 401k with a 7.5% match, if you contribute 7.5%, you'd be at your 15%. Obviously, it's never a bad thing to contribute more, but that total of 15% is a good baseline amount. I think I'm at 22.5% with 401k and pension. No one expects a 12-year-old to have a Roth IRA. You're fine. Get started now. You can fund 2023 and 2024 too. Start here, arfw.reddit.com/personalfinance/wiki.reddit.com/personalfinance/wiki common topics. You saved 50K and you're 22? That's very impressive. What you want to do is totally up to you. The questions you should ask yourself are, do you plan on getting married within the next 5 to 10 years? Do you plan on buying a house? What time frame? What debts do you have? Car? And what interest rates are they at? How secure is your job? If you lost it tomorrow, could you replace your income? How long would it take? How likely are you to get injured at work? Does anyone rely on you? If you were to die, is there anyone who would be financially burdened by your death? The general advice is, pay down high-interest debt first. If your car loan is 5%, then pay it off, because the thought process is the market can go up or down, and you don't want to be saddled with high-interest debt if your job goes south. Get life insurance, disability insurance, write a will, and then invest. Honestly, you probably could invest 70 to 80% of that 50K. I would just make a list of expenses you have and park that amount x12 into a savings account for emergencies. Holstu Wolf 179. The above is good, except for my hard disagree on the life insurance. Term life insurance is a tool to protect your loved ones if you suddenly cannot support them anymore, but you didn't mention a spouse and kids. Whole life insurance or universal life insurance, or a whole lot of misleading names, are mediocre insurance and mediocre investments. They are useful tools only in situations much more complicated than yours, and bordering on scams in most other situations. Disability insurance, I don't know. Maybe, especially if you have a relatively physical job that you would lose with even a slight disability. As for the rest, I think you've seen it all. Emergency fund, Roth IRA, you can do both $6,500 for 2023 and $7,000 for 2024 until tax day in April. No paying back the 3.5% car loan unless you're good with EF and Roth and vacation budget, and paying the loan would make you feel better. You're in a good position. Keep it up. I agree with this Redditor's rebuttal. Life insurance only if you have someone to protect. I should have made that clear. Same thing with what he said about disability somewhat. I feel like it can be somewhat affordable and low risk, but everyone's got to weigh out their job risks for themselves. Absolutely never get whole life insurance. It's a scam, 9.9999 tenths. 9.9999 out of 10, so good for 0.001% of the population? Hard to find statistics for number of people with over $20 net worth where whole life can have a use in optimizing inheritance taxes, but it seems that 0.003253% of the U.S. population is a centimillionaire. So it's a scam in less than 9.97 cases out 10. If I didn't mess up my math, of course, I'd love to feel more personally engaged in the topic of centimillionaires. Haha, I'm happy to admit when I'm wrong. Good questions to ask yourself here. Don't invest, then go into debt, Wi-Fiing the farmer's daughter. What's the interest on the car? It's 3.5 APR. I wouldn't rush to pay off a low-interest auto loan. It makes more sense to invest your money in the market, or at a minimum, keep it in a high-yield savings account, paying at least 4% interest. One thing to consider when comparing interest rates between debt and savings accounts is taxes. The interest earned on a savings account is taxable income, so it reduces the effectiveness of interest rate arbitrage like this. It may still make sense, but it's something to consider. For instance, if the savings account is paying 4%, but your tax rate is 20%, your after-tax APR is closer to 3.2%, so it makes more sense to pay off 3.5% faster, assuming you have an emergency fund already. That's an interesting point. SPAX is still paying 4.98 cents. Keeping it in a HISA isn't worth it, IMO. The difference between the loan rate, 3.5%, and in HISA rate, Ally Bank is 4.35%, is 0.85%. OP's balance is 9 KEL, so we're talking less $80 a year. I'd rather just own the car outright and have the title in my name. When the difference is small, the reason for not paying it off is having the liquidity, emergency fund, etc. The difference between the loan rate, 3.5%, and an HISA rate, Ally Bank is 4.35%, is 0.85%. OP's balance is $9, so we're talking less $80 a year. Even less than that, since you have to pay income tax on the HISA interest. The reason folks say to invest the dollars and not pay extra is because you'll typically make more than 3.5% per year if the money is invested. Investing could mean the S&P 500, a global portfolio, something like 80% stocks and 20% bonds, etc. I wouldn't keep making additional payments on the car and immediately start investing that extra money in that case. Just keeping paying that as is, it's so low that putting the extra money into almost anything else pays more back. So many banks are offering 5% interest, and that's without even investing anything. But yay, like others have said, if you have the cash to just pay it all off, it does remove that burden and will actually allow you to save / even more as you no longer have that payment. So it's really just up to you, honestly. Personally, I would get a decent emergency fund saved up and then just chunk everything at the debt and not save anything else until that's paid off. That is what I am doing currently, and it's been such a relief watching my debts go down so quickly and not worrying because I have that emergency fund saved up. Then pay the minimum payment and invest the excess in VTI. Open up a Robinhood Gold account and start contributing the maximum to a Roth IRA each year. Robinhood will give you an extra 3% on top of your contributions. Buy a house. You will thank yourself later. A high-yield savings account will pay you 5%. Better to do minimum and have your $50,000 split up in investment accounts and HISA. Yeah, a simple Amex savings gives you like plus 4% right now. Just drop it in there while you figure out your long-term goals. Definitely don't pay it off just now then. Right now you can make 5% just from a high-yield savings account at no risk whatsoever, so at the bare minimum your money would be better devoted to that. Reading, long drives on the beach, normal stuff. I didn't realize I set the automated payments up incorrectly, so instead of paying $320 a month, I was paying $600. I recently checked how much I had left, thinking I'd see $16,000 left in payments, but it was only $9,000 left. If you could handle that, this is what you should have been doing all along anyway. That or just paying it all off. One of my friends said to just keep doing what I'm doing. A friend's parent told me I should pay off the car now since I can, and the finance podcast told me I should have opened up a Roth IRA 10 years ago. No, yes, and yes. Pay off the car and start a Roth. It's never too late. Maintain enough cash for a couple months of expenses, plus a small emergency. Okay, I guess I'll use Fidelity or Vanguard. Haven't heard many bad things about them. I'm in the process of switching banks, but when that's done, I'll fork over the money for the car. Paying off the car at a low APR, 3.5, might not be the highest priority. Retirement accounts, maintaining a safety net, and other large upcoming expenses might be worth prioritizing, since you can pretty easily get 3.5% or more in a savings account right now. Interest income is taxable. Account may be making 3.5, but if the IRS makes off with 20% of that, then you are still losing money to the loan interest rate. Interest income is taxable, not in a Roth IRA. If OP doesn't already have one of those, they can probably beat 3.5% over the next few years. Good point. Without knowing more about OP's situation, it's hard to say whether it's worth paying about $50 a year, 20%, 3% to have that $9 accessible. I've had a good experience with Fidelity and lots of trouble with Vanguard for what it's worth. Or Schwab. I love Schwab. They're very responsive, don't have any fees, and their website is so much easier to use and prettier than Vanguard's. I have both Schwab and Fidelity. My main issue with Schwab is the very low interest they pay on cash in your account. Fidelity will automatically sweep money into and out of a money market account. With Schwab, you have to manually do that, or it will sit in cash at ultra-low interest. If you don't mind sharing, what was causing issues with Vanguard? Was it a complex situation? You can still save for last year before April 15. Also, it's almost always better to have an IRA with a bad company than no IRA at all. Pick one of those companies and start it. Some people waste too much effort over which company is best and waste time. You have a couple winning strategies ahead of you. As long as you pick one, you are in good shape. You can always change later. Keep up the good work. Either Fidelity or Vanguard. Set up your retirement accounts and an investment account and contribute to both. Don't try to play smart, just go for the index funds of whichever you choose. Then get your money working for you. Switch to Fidelity as your broker and also use them as your bank. Keep a small amount in your current local bank to be able to access things like cashier's check and medallion signature guarantee, things not often needed, but easier to do with a physical branch. Honestly, there's almost never a need to have more than an emergency fund, 3 to 6 months depending, of cash on hand slashed in the bank. The rest needs to be put to work. No one got rich from working and saving cash. It's either from winning the lottery, inheritance, or investing the cash they worked for and saved. Get that money working for you, after you spend some time learning and researching, of course. American Century is good also. Pay off the car and start a Roth. It's never too late. This, and if your job offers a 401k, increase the contributions. There is a lot of good advice here. I just want to say, don't feel stupid about the Roth IRA. You are nowhere near late in starting it, but get started now so you have the full force of 40+ years of contributions behind it when you retire in your 60s. You should check out the Money Guys show. They are certified financial planners and have an entire business built around helping people save, invest, and follow a financial order of operations DIY style. What is the APR on the car loan? What is the interest rate on your savings account? But I've hit a point where just saving money seems kind of stupid if it's just sitting in my savings. You could invest that extra money or start investing in your retirement. At least get the money in a high-yield savings account. Are you saving for retirement through work? Roth IRA is great, but it's not the only retirement savings vehicle. Most recommendations are to have a certain amount saved, like 1x your income, in retirement accounts, not necessarily Roth IRA, any of your retirement accounts, by certain ages. Are you hitting those recommendations? What I would personally do, not financial advice, set up a Roth IRA immediately. Put $7,000 into that and invest it into an index fund. Max you can contribute for 2024. Put in another $6,500 because until the end of tax season, you can still contribute the max of 2023. Take 6 months of your true monthly expenses, rent, mortgage, car payment, bills, food, gas. Put it into a high-yield savings account. SoFi is offering, I think, 4.5% right now. Ally Bank is offering some 4.35% APY. Let's say that's $1,200 a month for you. IDK might be more, might be less. 1,200 by 6 is 7,200. Your emergency savings is established, and it'll make you some $30 a month in interest. Finally, take the remaining $29,300. I'd open a regular individual stock investing account. It can be with the same broker you used for the Roth IRA, or it can be a different broker. That's fine. I would invest at least some 80% of that also into index funds, and maybe the remaining 20% I'd use to buy individual blue-chip companies that I like, up to you. I would continue to contribute to that stock account every month as income continues to come in. Think of that as your new savings account. When 2025 comes around, focus on maxing out your Roth IRA annual limit again, and then go back to investing in your other account. If you take anything out of your emergency savings, you top that back up ASAP, not by withdrawing funds out of either investment accounts, though. If your monthly expenses go up, you adjust the 6 mo of emergency savings you have and top it off if needed. If you stick to all of that, by the time you're 30, you'll have some 60 to 70K in your Roth IRA saved for your retirement, which is insane. You'll have some 50 to 60K in stock investments, and you'll have an emergency fund still on the back burner. If you wanted to buy a house, you could take the 20% down payment for the house out of your stock account, leave your IRA untouched, and probably still have some left over. Then you slowly start building up your stocks again. You do all of that until you're 65. Well, you'll be retiring by the time you're 50, honestly. If you stick to all of that, lol, you'll be in the top 1% without a doubt. If you open a Roth IRA in Q1 of 2024, you can still contribute the full amount of $6,500 for 2023. Contributions limits for 2024 are $7,000. Since you have saved up so much, I would really consider this. I assume you're adding to your 401k to at least company match. If you have a high deductible medical plan, look into opening a HSA account and invest that too. Single filers can contribute, I believe, $3,875 in 2023, and Ford is $150 this year. If I were you, I would really consider maxing out these accounts for 2023. No need to lump sum all in for 2024 yet. You can get a Marcus savings account online that gets nearly 5%. It's backed by Goldman Sachs. This one is less risky than other investments since it's just a savings account, but mine made more than my stocks last year, and there's no chance of losing it, so there's that. First of all, you're doing great. Second, start with this subreddit. Go to the sidebar and click the links to get you to the wiki and comb through that. I'll also echo opening an IRA and maxing that out each year. Here's a strong r/personal finance/index link to the PF Wikiyong for helpful guides and information. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please = message compose / personal finance. Contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Money is a tool to help you live the life you want to live. 50K is maybe a lot of money or a little to help you on that goal. It's hard to say until you know what your goal is. Just keeping it a savings account might be prudent if that's the goal, but maybe you can go ahead and invest it if the goal is a ways down the line. Or maybe you cut it off here and start putting anything above and beyond this towards that goal. That said, depending on the interest rate, it may make sense to go ahead and pay the car off, especially if you've already saved above and beyond emergency savings and are just keeping all the money in a savings account. 20 and a little flush what to do. 1. Pay off the car. Just do it. You don't need the risk. Then create a second savings account for car repair / next car. Put 1/2 what you were paying into that, so $160. Buy a used car next and pay in cash. 2. When it's paid off, reduce your auto insurance coverage. Drop collision and comprehensive. This could save hundreds up to $1,000 a year. 3. Keep 3 months' expenses in a third new savings account for emergencies. So roughly $4,500. You mentioned your rent, gas, food, which comes to about $861 smo, but I didn't see health insurance costs, auto insurance, cell, or internet, so I rounded up to $1,500 mo. 4A. Do you have a high deductible healthcare plan with your job? If so, max out your 2023 contribution if you can. May need to call HR. This is $3,850 and gives you a tax break this year and no taxes when the money comes out. 4B. Set up payroll deductions if you can, again call HR, so that you hit the 2024 max HSA amount of $4,150. Setting up HSA contributions with payroll deductions saves you federal tax, state tax, and payroll tax. Throwing money in at the end of the year does not save on payroll taxes. 5A. Set up a Roth IRA with Fidelity or Vanguard. Fund it with $7,000 for 2023, not 2024. You'll be asked that at some point in the setup process. Invest the $7,000 in a SP500 ETF. Fees will be super low, add that is what you want. 5B. Honestly, I would invest $7K for your 2024 Roth contribution. Use the same account you set up in 5A and buy more shares SP500 ETFs. At this point, your 50K savings is about $14,500 plus $4,500 in a side savings account for emergency only. You have a few options with this 14.5K. Option 1. Put it in a high-yield savings account to use as a down payment on a home one day. I would look into first-time home buyer programs. In my state, New York, there is a program where you save money each month for 10 months, $188 a month. Total of $1,875, and the program matches you $7,500 for your first home. Then you have almost $9,300 to put down, only $1,875 as you own cash. Option 2. Plan to fund your 2025 Roth 100% on January 1st. Option 3. Find out if you have a 401k or Roth 401k at work. Fund that. Since you make $40K, I would do a Roth if you have the choice too. Option 4. Travel somewhere exotic while you're young and kidless/attachment-less. Go backpack America for 3 weeks, or Asia or Europe. Make the most of that freedom now. You can mix and match options 1 to 4. Take a small trip, put some in a 401k, put some aside for a first home, yada yada. There are way more intelligent people to help you than me, but please tell me that the 50K is at least in a high-yield savings account or a CD of some sort. The interest is just free money. Honestly, you should take a couple grand and go on a vacation. At your age, you should go someplace difficult to get to for old people. My mom traveled 6 of the 7 continents. The only thing she missed that she really regretted was Machu Picchu. By the time she retired, she would not have been able to handle the altitude. Other than that, you are getting some great advice. You are not wrong. Most people are bad with money and don't understand how things work. There really should be some mandatory personal finance classes in high school. Do the Roth for sure. As earnings increase, you may get to the point where you would have to do a backdoor contribution. Sounds like you currently have enough on hand to put in for last year and this year. You have until the tax filing deadline to make the contribution for last year. If you don't already have the money in a high-yield savings account, get the rest moved over now. Mine is currently paying more than the interest rate on your car loan. I personally wouldn't rush to pay off the car since you can earn more with your money elsewhere. In this order: emergency fund, high-interest debt and car loans, emergency fund, retirement accounts, taxable investments. Sounds like you're doing great. If you don't already have one, work on building an emergency fund. Roth IRA is a great idea if you don't have a 401k available from your work. You can put in money into a Roth IRA for 2023 until tax day, which is April 15th. You are in a great spot. The time is right to open a retirement account and invest. Are you interested in retiring early? Saving is never stupid. 22 and 50K? Shit, might as well keep it going. Future, you will thank you for saving that much. An IRA is just another benefit to you. Keep living below your means and saving. Keep 1 year of expenses in an emergency fund. Many banks offer interest rates of 4%. Keep paying extra on your car and plan on keeping it for at least 10 years. Keep up with the oil changes. After that, you could save for a house, invest, fund retirement accounts, etc. Only invest in things you understand. The best time to open a Roth IRA was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. If the car loan is 3.5% interest rate, I wouldn't keep paying extra. In fact, if the bank was kind enough to push the due date forward with overpayments, you could skip a few payments if you're so inclined. Just make sure you have a decent savings accounts. They're paying around 5% interest these days. I'm 22 and have 50K saved up. I feel so out of place here sometimes. I'm in my 40s trying to figure out if I can retire before I die. No. Meanwhile, so many people here seem to ask for advice. Then when I find out what they have, I'm just blown away. I would do the math. What is going to give you the greatest return over the same period? Make sure to include taxes in the equation. The Roth, of course, is not accessible, but if you don't need the cash, it will be huge in retirement if it is the mathematical best thing. Also, even if paying down the car has higher returns, open an IRA and put $1 in it so it's ready when you are. Hi. Great job. I would pay off your car and you can still put $6 in an IRA for last year and $6K for this year, provided you have made $6K already this year. Make sure you have $20K in a high-yield account, making at least 4.5%. Do you want to buy a place versus renting? Does your job offer a 401K? Because I would do savings there because you can save more for retirement. You can be a multimillionaire if you can save in a retirement account. You should keep an emergency fund in a Roth at a minimum. You can pull contributions out if you have a job loss. If you make plenty for your needs, I would avoid a high-yield account. A high-yield account will generate taxable interest, so it's better to have that interest generated and stored in a Roth where it won't complicate your tax situation. Alternatively, if you already have your emergency fund, assuming you have an auto rate around 5%, you're better off paying off the car aggressively. You will basically generate a 5% return or whatever your interest rate is, and you will not pay taxes on interest savings. A 1099 int isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's still hit with your federal and state tax rates. Set aside $1,000 for a starter emergency fund. Pay off the car ASAP. Bring your emergency fund up to 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Start putting money into a Roth IRA each month so that you max out what the allowable contribution is each year. Honestly, it's probably worth hiring a financial advisor for someone in your situation. Look for those with a CFA or CFP if you want to play it safe. If you don't want to, then start reading finance investing books and listening to financial podcasts. 3 books I'd recommend for beginners are The Psychology of Money, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, The Only Investment Guide You'll Ever Need, Tobias. All of these books will increase your lifetime net worth significantly. Podcasts. Ask the Compound Animal Spirits Invest Like the Best. Div, I disagree. The OP does not need a financial advisor. Just bounce ideas off of Reddit personal finance. Many of us have been there, done that. Follow the Dave Ramsey baby steps. It'll help you catch up and teach you what to do with your extra money. But you are right. Most adults are bad with money, which is why 65% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I know they blame cost of living, which is a factor. But if cost of living is high, you should work even harder at personal finance to overcome it. I'll look it up. And yeah, it's sad to see. I have about $50K saved up though, so I don't feel like I'm on the right track. Follow the Personal Finance Wiki and avoid Dave Ramsey altogether. His advice is very outdated for anybody but the most spending addicted. You aren't in debt, so Dave Ramsey has nothing for you. And you're absolutely on the right track because you're saving money, you have a great emergency fund. Make sure that's in a high-interest savings account, 5% or better right now, and invest the rest. $20 is more than enough to have in an emergency fund. So max out your 2023 and 2024 Roth IRA contributions in a Robinhood account and put the rest in VT or VTI. And take a vacation. See the world. Now is the best time for you to travel. No kids holding you back. Put the max in a Roth for last year if you have that much saved up. Fidelity app, make a brokerage account, buy index fund FXAIX. Literally that simple. Keep a $10 or whatever you feel is comfortable emergency fund in a high-yield savings account through a bank like Ally. 2 choices, and you should definitely do one of them. Traditional or Roth IRA. Traditional plus a taxable mutual fund are best. There are only 3 reasons to open a Roth IRA. You absolutely positively hate paying taxes, and not paying taxes when you take distributions would make you feel good. You are in the 0%, 10%, or 12% tax bracket now. Pay low taxes on money now, because when you retire, you will be in the 22% or 24% tax bracket. you know for a fact you will be in the 30% or 35% or 37% tax bracket when you retire. In order to fully fund a Roth IRA, you would need to pay taxes on $8,500 to make the full contribution of $7,000. I am not being exact, just using approximates. Roth IRA. That means you only invest $7,000 for the year and pay $1,500 in taxes. Since you are willing to pay taxes on $8,500, I will use that as the base. I would open a traditional IRA, put $7,000 of tax-deferred money in. $8,500 minus $7,000 equals $1,500 you will pay taxes on. Call it $300. $1,500 minus $300 equals $1,200 tax dollars to invest in a mutual fund. Traditional IRA, $7,000 plus $12 was $8,200 invested, and you pay $300 in taxes. $8,200 compounding for 40 years beats the absolute snot out of $7,000 compounding for 40 years. Even though you will pay taxes on the money when you begin distributions, you will have more money and it will last longer, and you will have the exact same deposited amount into your checking account. There are only 3 reasons to open a Roth IRA. You're ignoring the possibility of higher tax rates in the future. Contributing to a Roth IRA and a 401k gives you the flexibility to hedge against those increases by choosing where to withdraw from to minimize your taxes on retirement. Follow the workflow is the best advice you could get, and you will find it on the sidebar. But yeah, just throwing it into savings is dumb. The advanced, not really advanced thing to think about is interest. So you are following the workflow, let's say, and saving as you should. And now you are debating paying for the car or storing cash away from retirement, and you want to weight the 2 options. Let's say you have $10,000 for easy rounded math. Now let's say your interest rate on your car is 5%, but if you invested the money in the market, you could earn 10%. This basically means you gain 5% on the same money if you put it away. Interest costs should be seen as negative, and interest gains should be seen as positive numbers. Then sum them all up, access all your assets and liabilities to see if your retirement is headed in the right direction or not. You can also dive into APR versus monthly accrued interest on your loans and try to get more complicated, but the basic deciding factor should be to lean into the most advantageous position, the above scenario is invest your $10,000 and you're earning more than you are losing having not paid off the car sooner. Here's a strong /r personal finance /WIC index link to the PF Wiki for helpful guides and information. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please rf/message compose /national finance. Contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. It doesn't hurt to pay off your car faster, but if you're penny pinching, take your time with the car and let your money grow in HY savings, since you can be earning slightly more that way. Doesn't sound like you're doing bad with money at all if your post is accurate. Your comment has been removed because we don't allow files to be shared because of the risk of malware and privacy-violating documents. Another risk is that many documents include your real name semi-hidden inside of the file. Please repost using an image on an error.com instead, or carefully read our personal finance /tools sharing spreadsheets these instructions. If you would like to post a spreadsheet. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please, /message compose /tukel /personal finance. Contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. Pay off your car. Invest the majority of the rest because you don't want to be at retirement age and struggling to pay your bills. I agree with the advice you got. Pay off the car and open a Roth. Look for a no-load fund like Tro Price offers IMO. But I would add, put the money you would have been paying on the car into that Roth until it hits the annual max, then a HISA for emergency fund. After that, maybe consider some dividend-paying stock or ETFs. If inflation is 3 to 4%, and you're paying more than that on your car loan, then you can consider paying it off. If you're paying less than that or near that, perhaps just continue paying over time. You can get 4.25% in an online high-yield savings account with nearly 0% risk due to the FDIC. You absolutely should max out a Roth IRA for both 2023 and 2024. You can contribute to 2023 Roth IRA until tax day. Whether to pay off your car or invest depends entirely on the interest rate of the loan. Don't waste time worrying about what you could or should have done a decade ago. It sounds like you're doing a great job controlling your spending, and that's the biggest factor. If your loans are less than 5%, then you can probably get a better marginal return elsewhere. If it's 8% or higher, then you're probably best prioritizing paying it down. In the middle, it's situational. You probably do want to make your Roth IRA contributions since you're limited by year, but not if it means carrying a balance on a 13% loan or whatever.